Racing requires a complex programming of psychological, emotional, physical, and nutritional skills. We quite often do the first three really well, but the nutritional side is often neglected. I've got a few tips on race day that you can refine nutritionally that will really get your race dialed in. First one is, we got to back up before the race. The day before the race, don't try to hypohydrate. In other words, don't try to saturate your system with fluid replacement drink or water. We're not camels and we can't store an infinite amount of fluid. Most races start very early in the morning, and you should allow about 2 to 2.5 hours to digest your food before the gun goes off. So you've got to back up from that point. My second tip is to make sure that you've eaten and finished eating at least 10 hours before you're going to introduce breakfast at an early morning hour. At least 10 hours. Allow enough transit time for that food and fluid to move through your system before you introduce breakfast on race day. Start of the race. What can you do? You've eaten breakfast 2 to 2.5 hours before the race, and now that time period has elapsed. Ingest somewhere between 4 ounces to 12 ounces of fluid replacement drink, preferably with carbohydrate and protein, 10 minutes before the start of the race. Not 30 minutes, not an hour. If you ingest the fluid 10 minutes before the race, you'll actually use those calories and the electrolytes in the fluid replacement drink before the start of the race. If it's 30 minutes or an hour, you're going to have a tendency just to pee that out because you're nervous before the race. Once you've gone through the swim and you're in transition 1, don't run to the buffet table, the transition table, to grab as much food or fluid as you can ingest in preparation for the bike. That's the worst thing that you can do. You really want to settle into your bike pace. You want your heart rate to settle down. You want your breathing rate to collect itself. You want to make sure your sweat rate comes up. Well, how long does that take? Anywhere from 8 to 20 minutes into the bike, stay away from all fluid and food. If you have the fluid replacement drink handy, you want to sip that in small sips, 1 to 2 ounces. After roughly about 20 minutes, then you want to apply your nutritional plan for the remainder of the race. But remember that 8 to 20 minute rule, sip gently. When you're on the bike, take more frequent sips. Every 8 to 12 minutes is adequate to fuel yourself. And those should be sips between 1 ounce, just a quick sip, to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 ounces. Again, you should be following your nutritional plan so you have an idea of how many total fluid calories you're going to take in your fluid replacement drink and also in water for each hour of exercise. When you finish the bike, right near the end of the bike, what happens as you come into T2, transition 2? You stop, your sweat rate goes up. So in anticipation of that, make sure that you increase the fluid replacement drink because you'll use those calories, you'll use those electrolytes, ones that you're sweating off, even in the transition before the outset of the bike. When you're on the run, sip every 4 to 8 minutes, frequent intervals. Now the aid stations may be every mile, so you're going to have to carry a bottle or plan on carrying a packet of fluid replacement drink while you're on the run. But again, just like the bike, try to sip at more frequent intervals. If you can incorporate these tips into your race program, you're going to be confident that your nutritional plan is covered.